no. The spinning wheel of death. Oh, hang on. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Tim?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Looking good so far. Come on, Phil.
Phil?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Look at that. Straight
Perfect.
in.
We're not going through the mixer. Oh, sorry, we are going through the mixer. We're not going through your laptop mic.
Okay, and I'll press this little record button.
Are you sure?
Are you sure? Oh, no, I want to see this for myself. You didn't give us any warning. I could have said anything.
Oh,
then.
6 watching.
Oh, okay, fair enough. Yeah, go for it. Do it. I'm on it. Hello, Egg Chasers. It's the Egg Chasers Rugby Podcast, the podcast about rugby that doesn't take itself or the game too seriously. And we're back in the rugby dungeon after the European finals and 160 minutes of the most elite domestic rugby in the Northern Hemisphere to talk about. And that's exactly what we're going to do among all the other stories going on in the rugby world. Thank you for listening. Thank you also for watching. We're currently streaming on YouTube, and clearly some people have started to get the hang of the fact that around about 9 p.m. on a Sunday evening,
Something will happen.
Something will happen. So fair play. Leave your comments there, and we can filter those into the show. That's JB.
Hello, Tim.
Going very neon tonight.
Yeah, so the reason I've got this is because I used to have an orange one, which I wore to death, literally until it came apart. And then my mum, because I told her that I threw my orange one away, went out and bought me this neon green one. So I have to wear it, really.
It's a beautiful colour.
It is beautiful. It brings up my trainers.
And do we have any sad music? I feel like we need it right now because Phil no longer resembles Hamish Watson.
No.
At least on top of his head. He's
Much
had his
better,
haircut.
though. Much
It
better.
is much better, yeah.
It is
much better.
Thank you. I'm glad you say that.
But it's-
It's sad to see it go.
Yeah.
I was looking back at some pictures of my on my phone
With sad music.
with some sad music and a tear in my eye. And the best time, the saddest time was actually not getting rid of the mullet, but getting rid of the moustache that I had for about 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
That combo, which I don't think we ever did a YouTube live pod with the moustache and the mullet combo. But to get rid of both of them is disappointing.
It is. But you look great.
Thank you.
Oh, and
Thank
by
you,
the way,
Jay.
happy birthday.
Thank you, JB. Thank you.
That's why there's Mississippi mud pie.
That's why I don't just dish out Mississippi
Phil.
mud pie for no reason.
Well,
Phil came with Mississippi mud pie, which is wonderful. I have to say, it's even more wonderful than your wonderful Stollen.
Well, we know we know what we drink on our birthday, don't we, Phil? Delicious strong zero right here for you. Should you want it? Do you want one now? Do you want one?
I've got to drive home later. Maybe if we can get a chance sometime soon, though.
Yes.
Maybe crack one. Because I bought a similar store for myself. I got you 6 cans, and I've got a similar number at home as well.
This is like when Nazi war criminals used to keep cyanide underneath their false teeth, isn't it? Very similar principle.
Just in case.
Just in case.
If it all gets too much for me.
Wow.
I do like that. This is typical of rugby clubs, and you can play rugby with people for years and years and years, or in this case, do a podcast with someone for years and years and years, and have no idea what their birthday is. I played rugby for years with people who don't really know what they did for a job or anything like that, or who their missus was or anything.
Yeah. So interestingly, I not thought, but it was sort of common knowledge in Cold Bay Rugby Club where I used to play that everyone's birthday fell between somewhere mid-May, everybody, to
End of August.
End of August. Everyone's Facebook because it was like top secret. If your birthday was known to the lads in the rugby club, my word, we were in for a hard bus ride.
Yes.
Death pint.
Yeah, death pints. It was awful, actually.
So let me just do a couple of bits of admin before we get into the meat and two veg of the podcast. If you want to see just how bright and neon JB's top is, and some of the other jerseys that are around in the rugby dungeon.
Have you sent the jerseys to the patrons yet?
Not the. I'll take the what's it called, Aaron Smith one. Not Aaron Smith. The
Aaron.
TJ Perenara one.
Okay, cool.
I'll take the PJ
Hurricanes,
yes. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yes, but we will have another shirt giveaway coming up soon. And we also I'm firing it back at you. Have you put information about North Dorset Sevens up?
No, And I'll tell you why, because we've got a team manager. So I'm just organising the actual logistics of this, but things are going very well. We've got
ex-military manager.
An actual military man, a captain.
Wow.
A captain.
Wow.
Current serving captain in Her Royal Majesty's forces is team manager for our 10 side.
So me and Lee will be sorting out exactly what's going to happen. But obviously we've got a sevens team who are,
10s team.
No.
Oh.
We've got a sevens team, which will be full of young, sprightly men, and we've got a veterans 10s team. So we're fielding
both.
We've got two lots of teams to fill out.
Wow.
So yeah, it's going to be.
Are they playing on different days?
Yeah. So if you've sent an email in, I am not ignoring you. We are compiling the emails. I'm trying to work out who plays and which teams. But because we've got Lee on the case,
okay,
Captain Lee.
So the headline details for that: North Dorset Sevens, Gillingham Dorset on the 23rd, 24th, 25th of July, which is the weekend of the Lions South Africa first test, which will be played at the club. There'll be loads of drinking going on at the club. There'll be loads of rugby people at the club. Hopefully some good weather in a lovely part of the world. Egg Chasers will have a team there. And if you want to be part of it and play for our team, come along and join us, whether it's as a spectator or, as I say, as a player. Contact eggchasers@gmail.com is our email. And priority tickets for those for the live show we'll be doing on the Sunday there will be via Patreon, but they'll be available more generally afterwards. But to support us, patreon.com/eggchasers.
That is correct.
And we're on YouTube. Right, one thing. A little guess who. Who did I see house hunting on my street yesterday?
Oh, AJ McGinty.
No.
Is it a Sale player?
Must be.
Yes.
Must be.
Oh well, no.
It's Alex Anderson then.
No.
No.
Tommy Taylor.
Tommy Taylor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Tommy. So I was driving.
How does he feel? I mean, I know how Jake Hooper-Woolley feels to be the second best tight head on the street. But how did Tommy Taylor take it?
The second best hooker on my street.
Yeah.
Well, actually, there's a no. Don't worry, I'm going to make a joke then, but I won't. So no, I was driving my lad to Carrington. Funnily enough, he had a game at Carrington at Sale's old training ground, which is now Sale FC. And I drove past it. I'll double take. I swear that's Tommy Taylor. I just stopped my car in the middle of the road, walked back 30 metres up the road, leaving my car with my son in it and the engine on. I said, Tommy. And then, he's looking for a house.
Wow.
So obviously he's coming back to Manchester. So we might have another Chiltern neighbour.
Yeah.
Rugby-based neighbour.
Got Jono up the road.
Yeah.
We've got Coops on. I think there's a fourth one somewhere. And then Tommy Taylor. Brilliant.
Yeah. Well, we've needed on my street, we've needed someone for a long time that spans the gap between myself, really, really low ranking profile, and Simon Rimmer, who lives at the end of the road. He lives in like the best example of the best house on a street. His house is like it is like old fashioned, where the master was at.
I heard a story about Simon Rimmer the other day, but
he's a good bloke. He's a good bloke.
Do you hang around in like celebrity parties? Do you?
Oh yeah, obviously all the time. Yeah, standard.
Okay.
Anyway, so there we go. Right, there's a bit of news. Let's rattle through that. Six Nations looks set to stay on the BBC and ITV. Reaction?
Good. Yeah, fine. Yeah. Happy with that?
Yeah.
I'm not happy with it.
There's no downside for me. I'm not idealistic enough to think it has to be on there. But if it's on there, great. It makes everything easier, and it means that more people can watch it.
I will say I'm confused about it. They were always going to put Six Nations behind a paywall. So why haven't they?
Well, my understanding of it was the story originally was it was going behind a paywall, but that was only because the original CVC plan, or the original plan for the retender, was you couldn't do joint bids, and the only way that it was free to air in the sense of the word, was because ITV and BBC had done a joint bid, and that allowed them to outbid the likes of Sky.
Well, no, I believe they're getting less money for this current deal than they would have got by quite a significant amount, I believe.
And that would stack up, yeah. So
okay.
The Six Nations sponsored by Guinness, I believe, is less lucrative than the old one, which is RBS. The deal with Gallagher is less lucrative than the old deal with
Aviva.
Avicii, yeah.
Avicii, yeah. Oh yeah.
Poor old Avicii.
Needs to do that.
And what's the other one? There's another one as well. Yeah, the TV deal, of course, with BT is slightly less than the last deal with BT. So it's trending in a certain way, and it's not in a good way.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not in a good way. That is interesting though, because the Six Nations is one of those sporting tournaments that is, well, it is one of the best sporting tournaments in the world. And it's not, in my mind, the Six Nations is not kind of getting any worse, getting any weaker. There's more storylines being written every year. You have competition like this year. You could have had 5 teams winning it.
Yeah, I wonder if we sort of get a little bit myopic as rugby union enthusiasts who actually watch the club game. Because it feels week in, week out, the club game is getting buffeted by all sorts of headwinds. And yet, if you don't watch club rugby and you only watch Six Nations, you would assume quite the opposite, actually.
I guess that's true. I think one thing that's probably worth mentioning, because this may come up in future conversations about various other things, but it appears that fan power may have played a role in this decision, because like I say, it appears that they're actually getting less money than they could have got by going with Sky, let's say. But fans were riled up to the extent that politicians started hopping on board the train. They love an opportunity, yeah.
Which politician would be bothered?
I can't remember, but people were piping up about how it should stay on terrestrial TV. So it's something of a U-turn, as you said.
Yeah. So there are certain events that are kind of written into law have to be free to air.
Wimbledon, boat race.
Yeah,
really,
stuff like that. Yeah,
Grand National.
Six Nations in the past has certain people have tried to campaign to get it written into law, so it has to remain free to air. Yeah. It's my understanding that is not the case, as in it is not that. So it does surprise me that CVC would go for a deal that is
I may be wrong,
less beneficial.
Let me know if I've got that wrong. But what I'm understanding is it was less money. But yeah, obligatory. You all at it. My obligatory mentioned that it's not behind a paywall. Sorry, it is.
It's not behind a paywall.
Half of the Six Nations is behind a paywall because ITV are funded by advertising, BBC are funded by your subscription.
Yeah.
Well, your tax.
And if you want a television in your house that you want to be able to watch them on
by penalty of jail, so it's not it's not free to air. It's 156 quid.
Very conflicted at the moment about the whole fan power thing. I know it's more of a football thing than us. I mean, I can't. I mean, if I'm not campaigning for it, who is? Because I don't know if we've got that many fans. But yeah, I mean, who owns this stuff? Who should be able to say who it's sold to, who it isn't sold to? Where do the implications of that lie? Does it benefit rugby? Does it not benefit rugby? I don't particularly like it. I mean, I've not heard any politicians getting involved, but if there is a politician
Martin
involved,
Lewis on live chat says
forget that.
It was Cardiff West. Kevin Brennan MP was one of them.
Now he's a councillor, isn't he?
It says member of Parliament here.
Where for which constituency?
For West Cardiff.
Oh right, okay. Whoops. Yeah.
You're naughty, Beardmore. Anyway, so that's bubbling on. What else? Mike Brown has appealed his 6-week ban, as we suggested he should, because it's a win-win for Quins.
Yeah, Newcastle might be without a fullback for the first 10 weeks of next season.
Or else they get a player maybe for a Premiership final. Kieran Crowley has replaced Franco Smith as Italian coach. He's done a good job at Benetton. Your beloved Benetton, JB. He's got international experience with
Canada,
with a tier 2 side in Canada, so he should fit in well at Italy.
Yeah, and Franco Smith has been retained but moved sideways / upwards, diagonally in one direction or another.
He's been parked.
Yeah. But he's still employed.
I'd love to have that job.
Well, the job to be moved sideways.
I think Scott Johnson for Scotland. I could do that job.
You'd be the head man.
Yeah, the head man. Well, I don't want any coaching or responsibility. I'd like the pay packet. If you could just put me upstairs somewhere.
Yeah.
What else is going on? Australia have launched the 2027 Rugby World Cup bid.
So I'm saying that it's only currently Australia and Russia for 2027.
Well, Russia,
no part of me wants Russia to have it.
Absolutely not. I'm all for. Hey, and listen, you won't find a bigger advocate for growing the game in new territories, new areas. But it's much like at some point we'll probably have a conversation about the Dubai Sevens and the Hong Kong Sevens and actually whether they should be going ahead. There are some things. There are some Hong Kong Sevens certainly. There are some things which are more important than
just money.
Yeah,
and Russia got the FIFA World Cup pretty much on the back of that alone. I seem to think.
Yeah, not massive. I mean, look, if Russia get it, get it, and I'm not entirely comfortable whether it be Dubai or Hong Kong or Russia been sidelined because of politics. I know why you would want to do it, but I wouldn't do it. The reason I don't want Russia to get it is because I don't want to bloody go to Russia. It's a purely selfish thing. It's a purely selfish thing.
Yeah, Australia could be a good bid.
Send it to Argentina.
Argentina would be very. They're not bidding.
Why?
You need to get
That needs to happen.
Either a combined
What
South
about
Americas
Ireland?
or combined Americas.
I mean, Ireland
Well,
haven't got
so-
a stadium.
Well,
Stadiums.
South and North America, but like Canada, USA, that's begging to happen. And
yeah.
there's talk about potentially America throwing their hat in the 2030.
The problem with Ireland is
Infrastructure.
infrastructure, hotels. If the figures that I got told for the Japan World Cup was nearly 500,000 visitors flowing into the country for that 8-week period. That's a 10% increase in Ireland's population.
It's mad, isn't it?
I'm not sure they can actually house that
They would
many
have to
people
share
at
it with
one time.
Wales and Scotland, I guess.
It would have to be like a home nations or Celtic nations type approach.
Celtic nations would be. I think they
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, they could do
actually.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know what stadiums they did use Wrexham last time. Well, when Wales held it in '99.
Was there was a couple of games in Wales and Scotland? Was it Wales and Scotland for the England World Cup in
I was going
2015?
to say, between the football stadiums in Glasgow, the Murrayfield, you've got a few in Scotland, and all the football grounds in
Liberty,
Scotland.
Cardiff Stadium.
Liberty, Cardiff, Principality.
I'd
Yeah.
love to do at least some of it in Ireland.
Yeah.
That would be
But
awesome.
we've got to have one in the States before then. Come on.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm not advocating it. I'm just
Like,
saying.
in fact, genuinely, I'd prefer America to get 2027
Tell you what,
than Australia.
The Ibiza World Cup, when they finally have that, is going to be quite.
Spain would be
Spain-
great.
Yeah,
Spain
and
would-
they've got
Spain would be
Spain
awesome.
would be great.
got the hotels, they've got the
Yeah.
beaches, they've got the
Yeah.
stadiums.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to, if you had, if you couldn't take all that time off work, you could just do weekends.
I
from the
can
UK,
tell you what,
couldn't
if hypothetically Romania made the Spanish World Cup, they'd be treated to some pretty poor grounds, wouldn't they? Some pretty rum hotels.
Yeah. Some pretty bad food as well. Culinary skills.
Can you imagine seeing
Staying
I don't know.
100 miles inland in Spain.
Yeah,
So they'd be.
but on the flip side, can you imagine going to watch like France v New Zealand in the new camp?
Yeah, I can imagine that.
It'd be amazing.
I can
Yeah.
absolutely imagine that.
Yeah.
It'd be so good.
Well, Castle and Dragon sold something like 15,000 tickets in the new camp, which is actually amazing.
Yeah.
I
Well,
think
the-
it was one of the highest attended Super League games of either the season or like last 10 years, something ridiculous.
Well, the game that we went to in Madrid was, I know it's not the biggest stadium at about 16,000, but incredibly, it was totally sold out, an incredibly knowledgeable and passionate crowd as well.
It was a good
There
crowd.
is,
And the King of Spain was there.
and of course,
King Carlos.
King Carlos?
King Carlos of Spain. That's his name, isn't it?
Oh, not Carlos Spencer.
Not
The,
Carlos.
the
No,
actual,
the
actual
actual
king.
The actual king.
I can't remember.
You-
I don't know.
I seem to have in my head. that it
were
was,
you thinking of Roberto Carlos?
Oh, Albert. Was
I
it?
think
No,
it seems like-
no.
Prince Albert's Monaco.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Let's have a look.
Is
Maybe I'm thinking of Ashley Giles.
King of Spin.
That was his nickname, the King of
Yeah,
Spain.
King of Spain.
Which is ridiculous because he couldn't
Is it
turn it for
Prince?
toffee.
Is it?
Yeah,
Carlos-
Juan Carlos, King. Oh, is that
Philip.
former?
Juan
I thought
Carlos.
it was Philippe.
Which is the one who's really corrupt? Who's going to come back?
Philippe the Sixth.
Is he the bearded younger guy?
He's that guy,
Yes, that's who turned up. Philippe.
King Philippe.
Mm.
you go.
Yes. There we go.
Anyway, he came because he heard we had a tier 2 tour there.
That's exactly
Right,
right.
those Egg Chaser boys are going fine. I'm there.
And, he's actually an avid listener. I don't know if you know that.
Add him to the list.
I didn't listen to
You
you.
going for a coffee with him this week?
No,
Just-
I'm not.
I wonder who the highest profile listener we have is, because we know we've
I've got a
few.
secret list. I've got a secret list. I wouldn't shame them.
No,
on-
no,
on,
no. I'm
on
not suggesting you
air.
name any, but it's just something I suddenly wondered. I wonder if like during the Six Nations, Prince William maybe went onto his podcatcher app and just typed in rugby.
Well, I mean,
and went,
he-
let's check these guys out.
I mean, he does know about podcasts now. Officially, he's got his own podcast.
oh, he has.
Yeah, so it probably got the idea from us.
Yeah.
If they can do it, I can do it.
Speaking of listeners, I feel like I must apologise today. So I was at Wilmslow Rugby Club this morning
Uh-huh.
with young Thomas, and a very nice chap came over, shook my hand, and said, "Hello, long-time listener." And I was, as I kind of always am, I don't know. I never expect anyone to ever say anything like that. So I was probably a bit
Starstruck.
Yeah,
Not starstruck.
Not starstruck.
That's not the right word.
Yeah,
The opposite is that.
dumbfounded.
Dumbfounded. yeah.
Dumbfounded.
Yeah,
Yes. So he was a very, very nice chap. He actually said he sent us some beer.
Oh, is it Phil? No, Phil.
I can't remember, but you did pass on some Cheshire-based beer.
Yes, I did.
A year or a couple of years ago.
I think that was one of the times JB drank my share.
Yes.
That has happened a few times, but that beer was absolutely delicious. So I must apologise to this chap, and if he sees me again, say hello again.
Well, someone called Chris shouted, "Hi, JB," out of a car in Chorlton.
There you go.
So there you go.
Wow. Wow.
You must be so used to it, Tim. You get spotted all over the place all the time.
No, genuinely I don't. But I remember one time I got some friends of mine to come up for a Noel Gallagher gig in Manchester. And this is when I was on the radio on XFM. And if there's one concert you could go to where you're guaranteed to find XFM listeners, it would be a Noel Gallagher show. So it was a weird occasion where like loads of my mates that don't normally, came up to Manchester. We went to bars in town and they were like, oh, they thought I was legit famous. it was just a weird time. Places around Castlefield Bowl area.
Well,
all the bars we went to, they went, Tim.
Well, XFM
Awesome.
did have a pretty hardcore music like listenership. They were like quite into it.
Yeah,
yeah,
big time. And
Yeah.
and every now and again I check the ratings, and Chris Moyles is still lower than where I was. But
I'm surprised he even has a job, Tim. Surprised he even got a job. Pathetic.
He nicked it after all, so fair enough.
Yeah.
And I'm sure he's getting paid a lot more than I'd used to. So
I'm not sure that's true. But anyway,
it all works out.
do you want to talk about the European Cup finals? Because they happened.
Yeah. Where should we start? Should we do it chronologically?
Yes.
Or
No, I
in
think
order of
let's go with the big one.
magnitude?
Let's
Yeah.
go with the magnitude, yeah.
Yeah. So La Rochelle Toulouse. This was an interesting game. Now this was a brilliant finish.
It really was.
The last 10 minutes really after Toulouse scored that penalty to put them 10 points clear, and La Rochelle. It was the time in the game when the only time in the game really that either time properly opened up. And La Rochelle knew they had to score twice. They had to score a try, and they actually opened up and started playing, and they looked great to the point where you're like, why have you not been doing this since earlier on? Why have you not been trying to get quick ball, keep the ball alive?
KBA.
They looked amazing for that last 10 minutes, and it was kind of disappointing that it took that long for the final to open up. But it reminded me of the other all-French affairs that we've seen, where we saw
Bordeaux, Toulouse.
Bordeaux, La Rochelle, Toulouse, Racing.
Yes.
And was there Toulouse, Clermont? Who played Clermont? Who beat? Yeah. Anyway, on all those games, including this one, it almost felt like they were too afraid to lose the game to really go on to try and win the game, which is understandable, but slightly disappointing as a spectacle, albeit we did get that amazing finish.
Yeah.
I disagree with that.
Which bit?
They're too scared to lose it. I thought the whole second half was one of the most gripping games outside of an international which I've seen. And what I thought I saw was two teams who couldn't impose their will on the other team. And I think their game is basically done via an equation, which is we win the physical battle, and once we win that physical battle, then we can do the things with the backs, which we need to do. And because neither team could get the better, I mean, some of the defence in that was awesome. The physicality was off the chart.
It really was.
And I'm thinking, like, they're not opening up here because they're not happy that they've not got the physical upper hand yet. And that's why it wasn't sort of like, oh, we don't want to play because we're worried about it. Well, we don't want to play because we can't play. You can't keep the ball alive unless you get over the gain line. And I think that was, in my mind at least, that was the difference.
Yeah, albeit watching.
We didn't see Toulouse play the way Toulouse can with that all-court game, because they certainly couldn't get that physical foothold.
Yeah.
I actually think with La Rochelle, they did get that physical foothold, but didn't use it in a way that they could.
Well,
whether that was the conditions, the stage. I mean, that's not to take anything away from Toulouse, because their defence was excellent, so maybe it was that.
Well, towards the end, Toulouse started to kick more, and then Raymond Rule and co could then counter-attack back in. But I loved the arm wrestle. I thought it reminded me of really tense international affairs when they're just, battering each other. I thought it was absolutely awesome.
It was particularly that second half, as you say, it was an awesome spectacle.
Do you want to know something amazing about these two teams?
Go on.
It was reported in the Times, so it's not my fact. It could be. It's either Owen Slot or it's
Alex Lowe.
so it's one of those two. And if it's not one of those two, I apologise. That La Rochelle have two of the biggest players in the entire game, as we well know, and they're
Vinny
both
Antonio and Will Skelton.
yeah, and they're both in the region of like 140, something like that. They're enormous.
Yeah,
men.
and
They could be whatever they are.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
if you're an
They're
American
huge.
listener, that is like nearly
Like
300.
300
Yeah,
pounds.
they're
Yeah,
big old boys.
Yeah.
However, Toulouse have the heavier average pack weight, which blows my mind. That blows my mind.
Wow.
Like you get these enormous blokes in,
Yeah.
and yet they're still not quite big enough.
Well, it is. These two are seriously heavyweight packs because we saw what La Rochelle did to, Sale,
Yeah.
most notably, but also Leinster, which is
Yeah.
an international pack. Like that Leinster pack is
Mm.
legit an international pack.
I think La Rochelle will have nightmares. They'll wake up in the middle of the night and they will watch that like they watch a horror movie. But particularly, I think it was like 30 minutes to half time, knocking at the door, and they blew it.
Well,
Scrum after scrum, they had a dominant scrum. The 2 times Bottier. This is just before his red card. Oh yeah, no, because it must have been earlier than that because it was just before Bottier's red card. Bottier had 2 goes at it and they fluffed it up both times.
Yeah.
Penalty after penalty, and they didn't take advantage. Then Bottier gets the red card, and as much as Ronan O'Gara was very honest afterwards, and John O'Gibbs, but Ronan O'Gara was moaning about the penalty that wasn't given at the death. But all of the focus when they talk about that game should be that period from maybe it was 20 minutes to half an hour where they had to score and they.
Well, the
blew
reality
it.
of the
They blew
situation is we would have been having free rugby if Ken Barlow.
Ken Barlow.
It wasn't Ken Barlow. It was Ohio West kicked two
Eight
kicks.
points missed, 2 pens
Yeah.
and a conversion.
Oh, was it 2 pens? Oh, then he wins it.
But he hit the post
Twice.
of which if he'd have slotted those 2, because one was the conversion, one was the penalty. If he slots those 2 post misses,
And that's
it is free rugby.
And the second, or one of those kicks that hit the post was what led to all of those scrums on their line.
Yeah,
where
After
they couldn't then
20,
punch it in.
25 minutes. Yeah. Because they did. Because even towards the end of that first half, before and after Bottier got the red card, they had all that possession, and I think they maybe got 1 penalty out of it, but they should have. After that, where it hit the post, they had a scrum because Toulouse took it over their line. They had an attacking scrum 5 metres out, just to the right-hand side of the post. A perfect attacking scrum, and they won the penalty from the scrum, but the pass, which would have put, I think it was Doolan in, was over his head and he knocks it on.
Yeah.
There's so many opportunities there.
Maybe this is not a real thing that happened, but maybe it is. Do you think that, for whatever reason it is, La Rochelle have won over a lot of hearts in rugby?
Massively.
It feels like it.
Massive.
Everyone loves an underdog,
Hugely,
don't they?
yeah.
But they're not an underdog.
No, they are. They are.
So they've never won the top 14.
Never won the top 14.
No.
And so Exeter's journey from the 2nd division in England to champions of Europe took, 10 or 11 years?
Yes.
Yeah.
La Rochelle, if they'd have won yesterday, would have done it in 7.
That is true.
Yeah, and they've missed a step because they've not won a domestic trophy.
And they have a couple of lads, in fairness, who have been there the whole time. Antonio, and I think Aldrit has been there the whole time.
There's at least, I think there might be 3 guys
or maybe
that played in the 2nd division that were in the team yesterday. It might have been Doolan, might have been one of them.
Yeah, there's
Unless
No.
Doolan's come back, because Doolan's been
Oh, no, he's been
around
somewhere
a
else.
little bit.
Anyway, it was at least 2 or 3 of the guys played in the 2nd division when they got promoted 7 years ago.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a cool story.
It's an
But
awesome story.
There's no part, when you watch them, you think, that's exactly an underdog. Not exactly,
I do know that
plucky amateurs.
on paper the teams match up pretty nicely, albeit probably Toulouse do have the bigger names and the bigger stars.
Yeah.
But it's not an underdog story if they win from a team sheet perspective.
Ken Barlow
But
was a
from the-
World Cup winner, for example.
And Victor Vito.
And Victor
Oh,
Vito
Victor
was
Vito, yeah.
World
I
Cup
forgot
was
he
a
even
World Cup winner.
played.
Yeah.
Did he play?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
played
nice.
number 8.
It was nice when him and
I remember
Kino
that.
went off together.
They
Two-
both went off
two
after about
Kiwi number
55
eights.
Hey,
minutes.
well, I'll give you another little tidbit from this. Toulouse pack featured 2. Did he take someone's arm? Did he take an opposition arm? A leg?
He took a corner flag
Ah.
with the pads and everything,
Very
which
good.
I believe in
Is it highly illegal. I hope he gets reported.
in the Challenge Cup final, Vincent Rattez attempted to take one. I don't know whether he was successful or not. I know that Joe Takori did get it back to France, and apparently he was politely asked by some EPCR officials to hand it back, and he just said no. And what you do? Yeah, if you can get it, if you can take it off me. It's yours.
The EPCR have got a checkered past in finals. I don't know if you know this. Do you remember when so the last time Toulouse won a Heineken Cup final, I'm beating, the officials go, get him off, get him off.
I want to see what Roman Intermac
By the way, that wasn't EPRC that did that.
I want to know what Roman Intermac does with the trophy, because I know it's the tradition in France when you win the top 14 shield, you have to treat it.
Yeah.
You have to treat it badly and have fun and games with it. So Roman Intermac had loads of people that didn't understand that, saying how outrageous it was that he was doing bodyboarding on it at the beach.
What would you like to do with the top 14 trophy? You got any ideas?
The top 14 trophy.
Give me table tennis on
put
it.
some wheels on it and
skate it down a hill.
Yeah.
What frisbeeing it into a into a quarry and then having people shoot at it like clay pigeon?
That's a nice shout.
I'm not sure I could frisbee it. It's massive. I couldn't frisbee it very far.
I mean, the French are pretty lax with these sort of things, so I'm sure there's some military guys somewhere which will happily help out.
Like a trebuchet.
Yeah, exactly.
Fire it into a quarry.
And had La Rochelle won it, then Brice Doolan could have taken it onto the set of another erotic movie that he stars in, that we've mentioned on a previous episode.
There's all sorts of things that we can do.
And if you're wondering what's Tim talking about, it's previous episode, and Brice Doolan really did feature in a... No, it wasn't an erotic film. That gives the wrong idea. It was
a film with eroticism in it.
It was a regular film with a very erotic scenes that Brice Doolan was in. Good-looking fella.
Can I give a shout-out to Dumaru?
Oh, yeah.
So for two reasons. One that got spoken about quite a lot during the game, which was the try-saving tackle on Cheslin Colby, which was awesome.
Yeah, it was.
And then only a few minutes later, and it didn't get brought up at all, Toulouse break down the right wing. Cheslin Colby gets the ball inside La Rochelle's 22 on the wing. He steps inside his opposite man, and Dumaru was the man coming across and absolutely nails him into touch. They didn't even show a replay of that tackle. It was an awesome tackle, 5 yards from his own try line with Cheslin Colby dancing around him. And he absolutely nailed it. Two amazing try-saving tackles. The second one, just no one said anything.
Yeah. Poor Jeffrey Dumaru.
Oh, Dumaru, he is class. He's quality.
Let's talk about, so was there enough of a difference between the tackle that got a red card and the tackle that got penalty only?
Great question.
I'm surprised. So I think the second one, it wasn't head, but from what I've seen in the past, the head neck area does seem to get judged as the same thing.
You get hit in the neck, you get hit in the head. I mean, so obviously you don't, but still.
The force was different. As in, I would have been happy for the second one to be a yellow card. I think that would have been consistent application of the law. But yeah, I think the Bottier one was definitely a red card. That level of force, and he wears it on
I was going to say,
like
Bottier was... So, yeah, I'll take your point. If you just purely look at, and you're right, in the framework that the referees are operating under, force is one of the metrics they use to make the decision, so fine. But, like, almost that's penalising Lavani Bottier for just being...
monstrous.
Because I... Well, no,
I'm with... I'm like... That Lavani Bottier is so powerful. He is so...
That hit was spectacular.
That hit was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it's the kind of thing that if he just gets that timing a little bit better, or even just his body position a little bit better, he still puts that monstrous hit in, and he does it legally. It was inches away from being legal.
The wonderful thing about that hit is it opens up the fault line in rugby, which is the difference between people who think that is awesome and I want to be like Lavani Bottier, and the people who, I don't know why they are watching rugby at the moment, go, that's just disgusting and no one will ever play the game ever again.
Well, as Phil said, he was inches away from
an amazing legal hit.
Amazing hit.
So the force thing is interesting. It only comes into play if the hit is illegal, right? Because otherwise...
If it's a legal hit, go for it as much force as you possibly can.
So I do think it's an illegal hit. I look at it and I think it's definitely illegal. You've got to go.
Hey,
it's half the force, you've got to go.
Just looking at a still photograph sometimes does not tell the story. However, when I look at those two tackles from opposing teams at different points in the game, in terms of contact, I don't see a difference.
I don't.
So I'm totally with you that I think it should have been a yellow card.
I give him a red. I give
should
them
have
both
been-
red. If you think one's red, the other one's a red because they both have force. Just because one guy's a little weaker than the other, he's still trying.
Yeah, and also it wasn't just that it was Lavani Bottier making the hit for La Rochelle. It was that it was Rory Arnold taking the hit for Toulouse, I think, or someone. It was someone much bigger.
No, because it can't be Rory Arnold
Because
taking the hit.
it was mid.
Oh no, sorry.
Who took the hit?
It was I can't. No,
Oh, was
who took the hit for?
Was it? It wasn't Uini Antonio.
It wasn't Skelton, was it?
No,
I think it was Skelton actually.
Was it?
No, because there's a high one on Skelton that never got reviewed.
Yeah,
And I was
wasn't
amazed
Skelton.
at that. No, you're right.
It was a less forceful hit. But yeah, but
Oh, no, it was Aldrit.
was it? Yes,
It was Aldrit.
yeah.
I think one's red, the other one's a red. I can't tell the difference between the two, other than the fact that the Lavani Bottier is a absolute monster.
Yeah, and I was disappointed that was the outcome, given that they stopped the game. I actually thought Luke Pearce did a really good job.
So I think he did a great job overall.
Yeah.
I think that Toulouse hit could have been a yellow card. I could actually see how it could be a red card, although I wouldn't want it to be. I think the bit that I was disappointed at was the end of the game from Luke Pearce, because I think so. I watched the last 10 minutes again today. There were 4 incidents in the last 2 minutes that could have been. There could have been 1 knock on. That's a little bit dubious, but there could have been actually 3 legitimate La Rochelle penalties in that last 2 minutes,
Which is what Ronan O'Gara was disappointed about.
Yeah, and there were. It wasn't like there was one incident that was missed because that happened.
Because I can't actually remember them.
So there was. God.
There was one where they looked like a legit jackal from La Rochelle on the ball.
Right.
Yeah, there was one sealing off at a ruck.
Yeah.
I think
I saw that one.
The
Actually.
last play at the game where Dupont passes to Intermac too early. Intermac's got 10 seconds to kill. He tries to jog it around and gets snagged 5 meters from his own line. There is 2 Toulouse players go off their feet trying to roll La Rochelle players, and there's clip. Is it Marchand, the reserve hooker? He goes off his feet, and the La Rochelle player is still on his feet, jackling the ball, and he is on the floor trying to pull him over. But Luke Pearce's arm has already gone up for the penalty for Toulouse. That one, and there was another one on the right wing. There were 3 clear that could definitely have been La Rochelle penalties.
Yeah, I definitely remember one of them, and I remember saying to the guy next to me penalty.
Yeah,
but I didn't have the volume on, so I didn't know if that was if that was one of them or not.
If one of those becomes a penalty, then because La Rochelle missed the kick, it becomes an easy decision. They have to go for the corner, so they kick for the corner. They got a line out 5 meters from Toulouse's line. Well, on that last one, you could have done.
Yeah.
That last one really could, but the earlier 2 were about 40 yards out.
Maybe you are better with the line-up because you've not got Bottier on the field, so you're going to be outnumbered out wide. So what are you going to do? Maybe you go for the line-up because you've got the drive then, and you're not outnumbered. Doesn't matter so much.
But as we say, the game's played over 80 minutes. It's not won or lost on the final decision. La Rochelle had the chances to win, and I think they'll be absolutely gutted.
And the world is a little bit better, isn't it, when Toulouse are on top of the table again?
It does. It's felt like for the last few years, because this Toulouse team, this is not out of the blue. They've been building with this kind of team for the last few years.
They're still the current top 14 holders because last season's tournament was abandoned. They got to the semi-finals of Europe last season. So yeah, this has been building, and it does feel good.
And I'll reference something Alex Sanderson said, because obviously he's a man that knows his way around the European trophy, which is you have to build into it. And if you think about what Toulouse have been doing, they made the semis last year, although it feels like it was only 6 months ago, because it was only six months ago that they were in the semis.
It was remarkably recently.
Yeah, but you can see that progression. As for La Rochelle, yeah, they'll obviously be disappointed. Who wouldn't be disappointed? But they've got nothing to worry about. If you're making European finals, don't worry about it.
Yeah, the next few years will be, unless they do a Clermont where they're always the bridesmaid.
Yep, which is entirely possible.
It is possible, but it's a hell of a team, that La Rochelle side.
Great. If you're if you're on the YouTube feed right now, just hit that like button, would you? Apparently that helps.
Really helps. Apparently, yeah.
Apparently
I've not seen any difference.
Just means
to
other people that might like rugby, it might just go, oh, check this out. So yeah, that'd be great if you would. Much appreciated, and keep your thoughts coming. Hi to Sam, who's on first time on the live pods. And
got any questions?
Loving it, lads. Yeah, any questions or thoughts, chuck them in there and we can get to that. I'll tell you what I will do. I'll just mention before we go on to the Challenge Cup final, we had a bit of midweek rugby since the last podcast.
Yes, we did.
And how much would you like to see more midweek rugby?
So I phoned Premiership Rugby about this because I'm a pain in the nose. I was like, why can't we have more Premiership Rugby? Player welfare issue. But of course, it's not really a player welfare issue, is it? It's a negotiating point issue. If there's enough money involved or there's enough incentive, we will have midweek rugby.
And that is definitely true because you see it more in football, but TV money, TV dictates game times.
Yeah.
Dictates what games are shown when. And if there's enough people watching, there will be more midweek.
If we can have midweek European Cup games, why can't we have midweek Premiership games?
There's occasionally a Thursday night.
Night, isn't there?
Yeah, for the Challenge Cup.
Well, I'll tell you what, just not wanting to open up this can of worms, I'll just chuck it out there. In France, they get midweek games every week.
I was hoping you'd bring this up.
No, I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about that.
I've been doing a bit of research.
Okay. No, absolutely no. Sorry, it's not to say I don't want to talk about that. I absolutely do want to talk about that. But
when?
Let's. What do you know? What I thought about this? So what JB's referring to is the English model, the French model. Is there some stuff that I'm wondering? Is there another way besides going to a ring-fenced league where we can actually grow the game in the way that everyone wants to mitigate the financial worries that the Premiership clubs have? Yada yada yada. So I've been looking at what they do in France and if there's anything there.
Which there is, by the way. There is absolutely a lot of lessons to be learned from France.
And I think we might start from different opinions, but I think that we'd agree on a lot of things, which is why I think in the build up to June the 11th, which is the RFU Council's vote on the suggested 3-year moratorium on promotion and relegation, let's get that. Let's do a special.
Let's get Phil to moderate.
You can moderate. You can be
ask questions.
You can be David Dimbleby and
perfect.
And you can moderate us, and we can put our cases out there because one of the big things about this is this vote's happening, and I don't think there is going to be discussion about it ahead of time, except for through people like us, which is ridiculous. So let's take it upon ourselves to do it. I'm
not convinced that the people voting on this have really spent the time looking into it. I mean that.
No,
it's such a complex situation that I don't think. I think when they vote, I don't think they're going to be thinking of how it is that they solve the issue of relegation, how it is they make the league better, all of these different things that they need to do.
The consequences of
the consequences and the unintended
for an extended period of time. Yeah.
But what I do think is the case is that these RFU councillors, there's 65 of them representing each of the counties in England. They should know that they are there voting to represent their constituent members of the clubs that are in their county. That's why that role exists. And so if you are a member of a rugby club, your RFU councillor represents you. So make them work for you as a fan and for your club. So one of the things that really bothers me about this, and again, let's do this in a special podcast, but the general point is that whatever you think about what should happen, promotion, relegation, etc., different models, all the rest of it, I think the general point is that the majority of fans, I believe, don't want it. And the RFU councillors are going to vote not with them in mind. And they are there to represent us. They're a union.
And this is what concerns me, which is don't lobby your RFU councillor until you have listened to our podcast where we outline both of the positions.
Okay.
Because you need to understand exactly what it is that ring fencing will achieve. I'm not for ring fencing. I'm not against ring fencing. It's very, very important that you understand what it is that they're trying to achieve before you say to your councillor, do this or that.
Yeah, but fundamentally, yes, okay, that's fair. But fundamentally, an RFU councillor is there to represent the constituent clubs in the county. The members make up the club. So effectively, they're there to represent us. They're not there to represent 30 very wealthy individuals who own Premiership clubs and their interests.
No, but you know what? If the councillor say in the Northwest, I would probably say to them at the moment, you should work with Sale Sharks because it is in our interest to make sure that Sale Sharks are as strong as possible, particularly Sale Sharks, actually.
I'd say it's in the RFU councillor's interest to make sure that every one of the hundreds and hundreds of grassroots clubs in Lancashire are achieving the goal of growing the game long term.
Yeah, but
That's
I
why
think,
an RFU councillor exists.
Yeah, but I think
Not for
the
sale sharks.
priorities. Well, no, because they're intertwined, right? So if you're in the northwest, it's very important that Sale Sharks do a remarkable job.
Oh, I know. I'm not doubting
But
that.
if you are the councillor for Norfolk, I think you probably vote against it. Does that make sense? Because you've got no pro club. You know, you do have a DPP and whatnot, but that'll probably be linked to Leicester Tigers or someone. It is in your best interest that there is a way for your local community to have a club at the highest level.
Fair.
So
let's do a special
save
podcast
it for
on
the
that.
special podcast.
Let's do a special podcast on that.
So the midweek games.
Yeah,
Pretty awesome,
Sam
weren't they?
Simmons broke that Premiership try-scoring record.
It feels like an age ago.
Smashed through the Premiership try scoring.
3 games to go and he's on 19.
Yeah, ridiculous.
The previous one was held by Dominic Chapman and Christian Wade. Do you know any of the others that are on the list?
List of what? Sorry, list of
Top Premiership try scorers of all time
In a single season.
a single season. You mean?
in a single
Yeah,
season.
Neil Back's.
Well,
on
Thomas
there,
Waldron.
isn't he?
Thomas Waldron, Neil Back, Tom Vondell probably.
Yeah,
What Cueto must be on there.
Vandell's a good shout.
I
Chris Ashton is on one of them, I think.
Yeah.
Early days with Northampton.
I had the page and now I've lost the page. Damn it. Yeah, it was Dominic Chapman from Richmond all those years ago. Oh, I've lost the page. Never mind.
But lots of big names, and lots of tries scored.
Exeter had a fairly routine win over London Irish, with Sam Simmons breaking the record. Bristol had a routine win against a 14-man Gloucester. Bristol performing very well, and Northampton messed it up. They're shot to get. They
stay.
The last 2 weeks where they could have put some pressure. Very disappointing for Northampton, who over the last few years they've done, since Chris Boyd took in, they've done some amazing things, but they've also had some inexplicable, awful, not just performances, but inexplicably awful extended periods of time. And these 2 games that they've lost now to themselves eliminate their opportunity of getting top 4 is just disappointing.
I also think actually what's happened is they've ended up where they really are because
reverting to the mean.
Well,
yeah,
because 2 of their victories were COVID victories.
Ah.
Yeah.
So had they achieved a playoff spot over, say, Quins, and they had 2 COVID victories under their belt, I think it might have been a false position for them. In the same way as Worcester look like they've got 3 wins on paper. They haven't. They've only got 1.
Yeah.
So multiple things about this, right? Number one, when this season is over, which it effectively is now, but when it's properly over, I think we'll look back and say, God, that wasn't very competitive. Like the top 4 are so much further ahead than the chasing pack. It's very disappointing, actually. So that's the first. And I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't expecting that.
So that's really quite upsetting. The other thing is, when I think about Northampton, at the start of the season they were on one of the worst losing streaks in the club's career. So the revision back to mean is definitely something which I think is correct. Are they that good? I think in parts they're that good, but I think they're easily found out as well. They've got a bit of a soft underbelly.
They've got some amazing, talented players, and when it clicks, they look amazing. Like some of the tries that they can score with that back line, and weaving some of their forwards into that back line as well, because some of the skills that they've got across the team are amazing. But you're right on the soft underbelly. Like and it's when the going gets tough, they can get found wanting. But it's not. The last 2 games that they've lost have been Gloucester at home and Newcastle away, which are very winnable games for that Northampton team.
If I'm a Saints fan, I'm obviously disappointed I didn't make the top 4. And I'm just thinking about how would you honestly review the season? Well, would they expect top 4 at the start of the season?
No,
Maybe.
I would
not.
I would say no, you would not, because of the one that they were on last season.
You wouldn't expect to lose it to Quins either. That's the other thing.
True.
And you look at their squad across the board. No one's played badly. No, you can't say, "Oh, we're weak at this position, weak at that position." You just say
there's a few.
Go on.
There's a few big names. Well, I don't like chucking players under the bus.
It's not so much chucking under the bus. I think the whole squad is playing at, say, a B+ level. They all need to play like 5% better, which is a rubbish way to. It's not like they've got an immense strength.
Yeah.
And they need to.
You can't bring, because last season their scrum was really weak. They've improved that. Perhaps it can still be improved.
Yeah.
And they've lost an All Black tight head who's going back to. I
Wasn't
think
scrimmaging that well anyway.
no, and he's been injured for most of the season, and
Yeah.
now he's
So-
going.
Well,
Yeah.
so a couple. So it's actually, I think James Grayson's ace. But one thing to notice is when Dan Bigg wasn't there, they could never make their mind up who was their 10. Sometimes it was Dan Grayson, then it was George Furbank coming in at 10.
James
James Grayson.
James Grayson, sorry.
Yeah.
Then it was
Furbank.
then it was Furbank at 10. Then
There's another one,
I think
isn't
Malander played 10 at one point.
Malander, yeah. So I don't know if you know this. I have some thoughts about Stuart Hooper.
Do you?
Yeah, I did, but I did
Really?
I did an hour and 20 purely on Stuart Hooper on the Bath Rugby blog, so you can listen to that instead.
I can
So-
imagine Bath fans who are frustrated would love that.
It was a very
Like
good
catnip
podcast.
for them.
A great podcast. But still, one of the things about Bath, which I think is the same with Northampton, is very hard to understand where you improve a team. Because if you're good consistently throughout the team, not brilliant, just good,
Just solid.
yeah, what is the thing that you need to improve on first?
Yeah. If there's no fundamental weakness.
Yeah, which I don't think there is. I mean, what we say, they need to be a bit harder. Well, okay, I don't know how you do that.
Well, I don't know. I think Bath it's personnel. Sorry. Bath it's coaching. And Gervin Dempsey, their attack coach, has left.
Which has been rumoured for a long time, actually.
Yeah. So that maybe that'll have an impact. Sometimes things don't work out. And I think Northampton, I don't think it's coaching because Vesti's great.
I don't think it's
Well-
coaching either.
Boyd's really great. So I think it might be personnel. And we talked about their scrum being so bad. And when they were on that bad run, they had no scrum.
Yeah.
They sorted the scrum out. They started winning games and being
Yep.
competitive. But they just haven't quite won enough,
Yeah.
which is fair. If they finish 5th, I think that's about where they're at. And that's not a bad season.
And there could be an element as well of if you have a Southern Hemisphere coach, a very successful one, he knows what he wants, but does him knowing what he wants necessarily chime with what he needs? And there might be a learning curve there, which is, in the Northern Hemisphere, you need to coach more defence. You need to be a little bit more pragmatic. And can he blend what he does so well, which is bloody brilliant, actually, with what is required and what is done at, say, Leicester Tigers or wherever else?
You
they're
say
good?
that Quinn's defence is not good. And they're
Yeah.
still top 4.
Yeah, but when you got Marcus Smith, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, he
You
is
just do whatever you want.
He's a slight difference maker.
One thing I have noticed is a slight narrative that's been creeping in over the last weeks about, no relegation, and people say it's boring. How good are these games? One thing I would say is that you could see the intensity in some of those lower table games just ratchet right up as soon as they change the Champions Cup to the top 8.
It's 8 spaces.
Which
yeah.
I totally disagree with, by the way.
I
I
do
think
as
that
well,
is a
isn't it?
farce. That the top tier, which is meant to be the best of the best, is now 3/4 of every domestic league.
Yeah, exactly.
It's ridiculous.
I've got two thoughts on this. Number one, there is a vast difference between entertaining and meaningful. Right? It's not meaningful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Second half of the Champions Cup
Yeah.
final, where actually one scrum suddenly you're like, oh my god, this really matters
Yeah.
because there's a Champions Cup on the line.
So, meaningful rugby is what we want. Just because people are throwing it out the back door and trying really hard doesn't mean it's meaningful. Sorry.
48-54. See, it's an amazing product.
Everyone clap like seals.
No, it's
no. Thank you. I mean, it's not bad to watch. It isn't bad to watch. I'm not saying
And that
it's...
balance between defence and attack is so crucial. And like
Yeah.
Super Rugby, when it was high scoring stuff, people used to try and say, oh, Super Rugby is just on a different level. When you watch it sometimes, it's like, no, this is not good.
So
They've not had to work hard enough for that.
the other thought is, when you get relegated, okay, it's obvious, isn't it, that your coach is going to go. He deserves to go. Not always, because some coaches have survived relegation, come back, like Dean Richards and I'm sure some others somewhere. But Dean Richards would be the one I'm thinking of. Did Dean Ryan survive relegation and come back? He might have
Can't
too.
remember.
But generally speaking, if you're a player and you think the gaffer might go because he's rubbish and you get relegated, and relegation is such a big deal that it's almost warranted that you should have to resign, then maybe you don't play your hardest because, well, the gaffer's going to go, I'll just impress the next guy and my contract runs for 3 years. But when you know that the coach is going to be there next year regardless because it's ring fenced, well, he has the final say on your career, so you best play hard. So there is a different incentive there.
That said, in terms of loads and loads of tries, the Bristol Gloucester game was so much fun.
It was,
That was so much fun. But Bristol had to work hard for all of those scores. They just butchered loads of them. But Killian Hickey has just mentioned Bristol with 8 disallowed tries. Yeah, that was
Minimum.
absolutely insane.
Right.
Did it take them until like the 76th minute to get the
Bonus point, yeah. And Martin saying, is Callum Sheedy becoming Wales's Finn Russell? Some of his passes out of the back and no-look passes. Yeah, he's got skills, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But let's just talk about Finn Russell for a second. The cargo trousers he wore at the Monaco Grand
Not
Prix.
seen these.
Have you not?
No.
They
Wish I
look
had.
like Top Man trousers circa 1997.
So
Yeah, so 1997 to maybe 2002, that kind of vintage.
That window.
I was interviewing a rather famous individual who played for Toulon once, who claimed that he went out with Prince Albert or one of the Monaco princes
Nice.
in Monaco in shorts, and to get into a nightclub he needed trousers. So the prince instructed one of the bouncers to give this famous player his trousers, and he did. So he
Wow.
could get into the club.
The princess, what's her name?
No idea.
Princess Charlotte or something like.
Oh,
she,
it is
no,
maybe
she came to the
Charlotte.
World Rugby Awards when we were there.
That's right, she did.
She looked amazing.
I don't remember her.
I can't remember. I was more interested in where's Johnny Sexton. I want to interview him.
It's quite
Yeah.
to Khaleesi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
spoke to Khaleesi and
Khaleesi.
CJ Stander
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Ryan Crotty.
And
and Doddy Weir.
and Jamie Roberts.
Oh, hang on, was Ryan Crotty the year before?
I don't remember Ryan Croft.
I spoke
Oh,
to
we
Ryan
spoke to Ryan
I spoke
Crotty.
to Ryan Crotty in the nightclub.
So-
in the club afterwards.
Yeah. Do you know? Do you know what my secret trick is to talk to people? I always say that Phil wants to meet them. So if you're the famous person, you're not. I'm not me. It's not me being a fanboy, right?
So sorry to have to do this
Yeah.
to you. My friend here.
Oh my God, Tim. Is it Tim? Right. Yeah, I know it sounds odd, but my friend Phil is a massive fan. Do you mind coming over and saying hello?
And to be fair,
Phil
I am
can't say no,
massive,
can he?
I am a massive Ryan Crotty fan.
I'm not a Ryan Crotty fan. Who is this guy? He's not going to say no, is he?
I remember JB interrupting. So Faf de Klerk and Aaron Smith were having a moment. Two of the world's best scrum halves.
Yeah.
They were both blind. They'd both had an awesome night in the club. They'd come out to get a bit of fresh air and to have a little bit of a chat. And they were just stood having a chat. And JB said, JB looked at Aaron Smith and Faf de Klerk and said, they're missing one person. Got in between them. Come here, lads. Let's have a picture.
And then we cropped Aaron Smith out. Good times in Monaco.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was awesome.
But midweek rugby, let's have it. But hey, GPU, thank you for your message in the live chat. Said midweek championship rugby. That could be a way to get midweek games.
Yeah.
Yeah. If someone wants to pay for it,
Yep.
get it. Get it up
Absolutely.
there.
That'd be great. It's a great shout. Right, Challenge Cup final then. Leicester lost narrowly to Montpellier. So we have an all French champions in Europe this season.
And I'm so disappointed in Leicester because they had it all. So that first 10 minutes was a demonstration of how they needed to play this game and how they were going to win this game, which was Montpellier get ball in Leicester's half, Leicester turn it over, Leicester then win a penalty, Leicester then use their monstrous driving maul, Montpellier splinter, Leicester gets another penalty, kick for the corner. I think they got a third penalty and take the 3 points. And you just watch that and think, how are Leicester going to lose this?
Yeah.
How could they were winning penalties left, right, and centre. They were turning over the ball. Their driving maul was unstoppable by that Montpellier team unless they did it illegally, and they repeatedly did it illegally, which bumped up the Leicester penalties even more. So how are Leicester possibly going to lose this?
Well, they're going to lose it by let's not do any more driving mauls, lads. Let's not bother with that. It's too good.
The detail. I mean, obviously, Borthwick is a detail man, but the stuff which goes on with Leicester's driving maul. I mean, on paper, it shouldn't really stand up to Montpellier because Montpellier are much bigger man for man.
It should be at least comparable because Leicester's it's an international front row.
I mean, an ex-international front row, right?
Well, Genge is current international.
And then Dan Cole,
Cole
and yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Let's not not downplay their achievements.
Yeah,
Yes, it is.
and they've not lost any weight, those two, since they were playing internationally. And it's an enormous South African back row.
They are quite big. They're abrasive rather than big. They're not enormous, are they?
They're big. One of the switches.
Visa's not tall. He's about the same height as me, but he's deep.
Like
Yeah.
CJ Standard
Yeah.
style.
Well, actually, one of the switches. So there was 2 injuries in the game that did switch the balance of power a bit more in Montpellier's favour in terms of the driving maul, and that was Brink going off injured, which when Tommy Raffel, who was great on the floor, great around the park, but not as big and strong, and Ouedraogo.
Oh, yeah. Is he still playing?
Lithe flanker, for Montpellier. He went off, and it was Jacques Duplessis, the second row, came on in his place and played back row. And that had at least a 10 kg loss for Leicester, and at least probably more 10 kg gain for Montpellier. And that happened towards the end of the first half. Both of those happened, and that swung the balance more in Montpellier's favour.
Yeah.
It's just you got to remember, this team shouldn't even be in the competition. They should be in the championship.
They should be in the championship,
right?
Yeah.
So you've got to you've got to bear that in mind. Leicester Tigers do not deserve to be in the European Cup final, but Challenge Cup final, but they are there. The progress they've made is remarkable. I have said it for weeks and weeks and weeks now. And these guys have got nothing to worry about. Their foundations are absolutely rock solid. They'll be fine.
And the bit that they do need, because where it came down, where they lost this game was, there was 2 moments of absolute magic from Montpellier that scored 2 tries. They did nothing for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Am I right? No points got scored in the last 20 minutes.
No, it was a 1-point game for 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So there's so many opportunities there.
And Leicester
time for opportunities.
There's so much. Leicester kicked so much ball away, particularly in that last 10 minutes. And
we knew they were set up to play the game in that fashion when they picked Wigglesworth over Youngs. But like you say, the last 20 minutes when they'd had such a dominant maul, I don't know, I would have tried to, and they'd been so successful at extracting penalties when having possession, like you said, I would have gone down that route. But yeah.
But the difference was there was 2 moments of magic from Rattez, and it was Usun, but it was fullback Boutier as well in that move. For Montpellier, and they were moments of magic. They did nothing else for the whole of the rest of the game. And Leicester, even though they could get the territory, the field position, and the penalties, they just didn't have that magic because it was going to come through. In the past, it comes through Nadolo or Ford, and Nadolo was shut out by his former teammates because they understand him, and Ford was shut out of the game because they knew he's the threat. So you take those 2 bits, and why Leicester should be really positive is you add in a couple more offensive players, offensive threats, which I believe they will do in the next 12 months. That team will be much more dangerous because they've got the foundations in place.
Yeah.
Is anyone surprised that Philippe Saint-André still gets these jobs?
The turnaround he's overseen is pretty massive. He came in at just Christmas?
Yeah.
And they were languishing in the top 14. They've still got a job on to survive.
But genuinely,
they will survive.
They will survive. They will.
It's a poor season from the top 14.
Yeah, but genuinely though, look at the players they have. Look at the amount of money that they spend. How bad would you do if you just pick the team and let them go out there?
Well, how bad was the previous coach?
Yeah.
Yeah, who was the previous coach?
I don't know.
What was going on there? Now, Saint-André is an interesting character because he seems to have one trick and one trick only, which is massive players.
Massive. Which, in fairness,
would work.
They already had that.
But he's come in and with no time to prepare or get in players, he's actually just managed to turn a team that were losing into a team that have been winning.
I guess.
And fair play, you can't argue with that. Adrian Sinclair got in touch. He emailed us, contacteggchasers@gmail.com. Just highlighting Austin Healey's change of mind on Steve Borthwick. So so this weekend, on Friday morning, I read an article in the Telegraph, and Austin Healey quite rightly said Steve Borthwick doing an incredible job at Leicester. The old Tigers DNA is reappearing. November last year, and I'm not saying this to shame, because actually I think this is to Austin Healey's credit, that he comes out with punchy opinions, but he's more than willing to go, do you know what? I got that wrong. Actually, here's what I think. He said in November last year, Tigers have made a mistake in appointing Steve Borthwick as head coach. He has never coached properly before at this level. He's very binary. Blah, 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 blah. He's a robot. I think, etc., etc. Yeah. Basically, for a club like Leicester, I think it is a mistake. So Steve Borthwick has...
I agree with everything Austin Healey said then, and I agree with it now.
That's what I was going to say. I wasn't saying this to say Austin Healey didn't know what he was talking about in November. I'd say that's where a lot of people were.
Yeah.
We were, listen to our podcast, we were scathing of Leicester at the back end of last season when they were just sending kids out to get slaughtered.
Literally.
And we're all very, very complimentary now.
Yeah, I don't think being a robot or being binary is necessarily a bad thing, as long as you're a pretty good robot, as long as your assistant, he understands what he wants.
Well, one of the things Austin Healey was saying back in November is I think he's been in an England setup where for a short period of time you can be full on 100% intensity and demand massive improvement over short periods of time. When you go over a club and you've got to be there week after week after week, he said, I don't think that's going to work. But it's working.
I'm not sure that is what Steve Borthwick's doing, though. Do you think that's what he's doing?
Well, no, but that may be not what he's doing. But yeah, were he to have done that, it would not have worked.
Yes, exactly. That's the risk of. That's certainly what Austin Healey was expecting when Borthwick first came in.
That he would map his style at international level onto club level.
He's probably shown his flexibility.
Well, the thing is with Steve Borthwick is, yes, he has had a lot of experience under Eddie Jones. You'd say the majority of his CV as a coach is built on his experience under Eddie Jones, particularly his Japan experience, and latterly, of course, his England experience. But he's also been under some different style of coaches in Saracens, so he has a whole range of things to offer. What I really like about him, and I have literally just said this, but he is super clear on what you want. And to me, I'll give you an example of someone who's not super clear is Stuart Hooper. Right, and it's not just to knock Stuart Hooper, he's just not very clear about what he wants. Whereas I know exactly what.
We don't know what he says in his team meetings at Bath.
No, we don't. No.
But all the other thing I would say is Steve Borthwick has always been an incredibly analytical. He's a rugby nose, more than any of us, particularly with lineouts. So when my brother was coming into the Bath squad, Borthwick and Grucock were the locks, and Nick used to sit with Borthwick for hours. Just doing line-out prep.
More latterly, of course. Your brother had experience with him when he was coaching at Saracens. Not coaching at Saracens because, I don't know, if you don't know, the England coaches used to use Saracens as a test bed for things that they want to run, and they needed to run against an opposition, so they used London Scottish. So he's had a front seat for him, not only growing up, but as a coach as well.
Yeah, and he's unbelievably analytical. But it's one thing to know what you're talking about, another thing to make sure your players understand and execute.
Can I give you a quote which I heard off a coach this week? I won't tell you which coach, because it's just a general chat, but I'm really interested in it, and I'm going to read the book which he recommended too. But this quote sort of haunts me because I'm not sure if it's true. But at the start of the conversation, it was, process is the opposite of skill. Process is the opposite of skill, and that is the mindset. What do you think of that?
I don't think the two are necessarily related.
So the process would be,
or not diametrically opposed.
Yeah,
anyway.
they're not mutually exclusive. You can have skilled processes.
Yeah. So structured rugby is basically when you substitute something. It's a substitute for skilled rugby, and I do agree.
Oh, okay. So from that point of view, I understand. So that would be So it's playing what you see versus playing what you've practiced and what you've rehearsed.
I think so. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, that I can get more on board with. I think that quote on its own, it needs some more. There's not enough.
That was the opening quote, and I don't want to say too much about it because I haven't read the book, and I'm currently looking at things in coaching. Not that I'll use, but things I do not understand and see if I can understand them a little bit more. And this is one of them. This is sort of like the, not new age thinking of coaching, but the sort of, what's the word for it? Like the helicopter thinking style of coach.
Okay.
For want of a better word. And one of the things I thought of is is there not a skill in putting together a process? Like a really good process is actually quite skillful.
And there's lots of processes that have skills at every stage of the process.
Yeah.
Like if you watch, not rugby related, but if you watch some professional jugglers, a team of jugglers who are juggling chainsaws between each other, now that is a process. There is no shortage of skill in each stage of that process.
That is that's exactly the second part, which is what about the skill in being able to keep to the process?
Exactly.
I think that's a skill.
Yeah.
But in rugby terms, say lower levels, I reckon if you played in a rugby team whatever level that is, if you're listening, elite down to bottom level, there's probably a good chance you had, off of a line out, you'll have had 2 or 3 phases that the whole team knew what they were going to do, and then it's free play. Play what you see.
I had a funny experience this weekend. So I played a game this weekend for Ultram Kersal too. So massive thank you to Ultram Kersal for allowing me to play.
Why aren't Talk H playing?
Let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about it.
I want to talk about it. No, go on. Make your point.
We had 3 backs moves, and they all did the same thing.
Was it?
You playing 12?
I started at 15.
Knife, fork,
Started
spoon.
at 15.
Dummy says a pop.
We had lead shadow, which wasn't being promoted as a lead shadow. I don't know what the hell we were running. And we had.
Is that like a league move where one player runs?
That's what it should be. Yeah. Yeah, that isn't what happened. We had something else, which was like basically both the centres hit the same gap. I can't remember what we called it. And we had another move which was. I mean, the chances of us having to use this move, it was basically off a set piece to a centre. It just wasn't going to happen. And I'm thinking these moves make no sense.
But basic moves would be like, 12,
DSP?
Line out. No, but you
hit me up the middle.
Switch one.
I've played in teams at high levels where off this line out
game, because there's a lot of lads there who I've played against, but were not part of Ultram Kersal because they needed to get a second team together to play MMU2s. So there's quite a few good lads that I've met or played against in the past. So it was quite nice to be on the same team as them. But anyway, we found out at the end that the reason these moves made no sense is because the fly half was the captain of the second team, who was usually at back row, second row, but because he had the opportunity to pick himself at 10, like 10. So, and then to be fair, he's got a tighthead prop at 15, me. Who then moved
you're
to
a very
centre.
live tighthead prop these days.
Yeah.
I need to get into this.
A back row at 13.
Nice.
In fact, maybe 2 back rows at 12 and
It's the future.
13.
Sam Simmons against South Africa.
Lavani Bottier.
Lavani Bottier and Sam Simmons.
A third back row on the wing. And we might have had an actual winger on the other wing. I'm not sure what position Brad played.
So you got one back in the back line.
It sounds like it.
Like, not wanting to go too far down the rabbit hole, let's keep it broad. So my lad Louis wore the blue and yellow at Didsbury at the weekend.
Wonderful.
Scored a great try.
Did it suit him?
It looked good, actually.
What position do you think he's going to play?
I
mean, we said we weren't doing too specific, but we're talking about one under 13 player.
At the minute, weirdly, which I wouldn't have predicted. At the minute, I think he's got the making of a winger.
Ooh, really?
He's quick.
That's it. I was not expecting you to say that.
And his defence is awesome.
Well, he won't be needing that.
13 potentially, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, but what's going on?
Okay.
Because and to keep this broad.
I know this is a broad point.
Are there some clubs not playing rugby right now?
Yes, that is right. So, post-lockdown, the RFU or the local unions put certain clubs into certain, almost like friendly leagues. So you have round robins against different teams. So some clubs did that, other clubs just arranged friendlies, but not all of them. And some of the feedback I'm getting from, they just said, yeah, it's a road to injury. Of course it's a road to injury. What do you think happens when you're on a rugby field? This is the game that we signed up to. Player welfare is very important in the pro level. If you get hit in the head or you're overworked because it's your bloody job and you kind of get overworked, well then yeah, of course player welfare gets in the way of things. Player welfare should not be an excuse not to go and play limited rules rugby under any circumstance. I mean, of course. Rugby clubs' primary roles are to go out there and facilitate the game of rugby. And to think, I mean, maybe there's a couple of things I think are going on here. Number one, the everlasting chat about player welfare in the pro game, which is completely justified, filters down to the lower levels where it is not justified at all. Outside of HIAs and that, recognise and remove, that is important. But you're there to play rugby. Because if you take this point of view that we'll only play rugby when I feel the player's ready, well, what metrics are you using? If you want to go down this route, it's a very dangerous route to go down, because if too many people agree with you, then you have to show some evidence as to, well, we'll only play once a player has been to 8 training sessions and has shown that he can tackle competently. Most fourth teams and third teams, and actually a lot of second teams, run purely on the fact that people do not train and they show up on a Saturday with odd boots.
Yeah, they want a game of rugby.
Yeah, they want a game of rugby.
And if you play, the laws of the game are there to control the aggression that is inherent in rugby, And also, in this case, it'd be one thing if we're talking about people under a certain age.
Yeah.
But this is adults.
But even under a certain age, what are the records they're keeping to say, yeah, we're now competent to play? Because if this is the mindset that they're not competent to play and they played and they got an injury, presumably the mindset's also, oh, well, we're liable for something or we shouldn't have played that game. And it's the wrong way to think about things. I don't know why they're doing it.
Well, I mean, this might seem like a heavy-handed thing to say, but if you're at a rugby club now that is proactively able to play, but proactively not playing, I don't think that rugby club deserves your custom.
Talk Age has turned into a bloody social club. It's turned into a social club,
which is not necessarily a bad thing.
No. Well, it's like the way I.
Sorry. So it's only the people that you would have played that are not playing, or have Talk H said we can't play?
No. Talk H have looked for games.
Right. Okay. Fine.
I mean, I wouldn't say we've. It's.
You've not exhausted.
You haven't
all
left every.
avenues.
You haven't left every stone unturned.
Yeah, I would say it's loosely looking for games, and we do have a load of pre-seasons booked. Loads of pre-seasons, and
I can't believe after
Yeah.
After this long.
Someone told me the other day, yeah, there'll be loads of rugby in the future. I nearly threw my drink across the room. Of course there'll be loads of rugby in the future. We've not played for over 18, well, not 18 months. Well, near enough 18 months, actually. Play the game.
Yeah, let's say you start playing senior rugby aged 18 and you go through till you're 36. 1/18 of your, or more than that.
If you're lucky.
1/15 if you're lucky and have no injuries or don't have kids or a job, which means you can't play for a period of time. 1/15. But it's quite legitimate in a lot of cases. 10%, maybe even 15% of your adult rugby has been taken from you. And to then deny people that,
I think
it's ridiculous.
I think, certainly in the Talk H situation, it's nothing like the Oars.
They've got rid of scrums and lineouts for the time being as well.
Yeah, well, that's not our concern. I think our concern is, I think the best way I can put it is, it's like going to the gym every week or every day, stopping for a couple of months and then trying to get motivated to organise yourself to go get back to the gym. Some of the excuses, like there'll be more rugby in the future. I mean, I just want to shoot myself. The other one was, the lads will get bored of rugby. Why join a rugby club? Why do you think we're here? So there is a few issues there.
They'll get bored of training with no outlet to put that into practice.
What's the point in training? What is the point? So the proudest moment I have had, or one of the proudest moments I've had as someone involved in rugby, was December 19th when Stockport and ourselves played, because we were the only two clubs in the Northwest that I know of who actually were bothered to play the game that we love so much on that single window. And the thing is, in the scenario that we find ourselves now, with all the fear-mongering and all the nonsense about COVID, every chance you get to play the game, you need to field a team.
Well, yeah.
You need to try.
I was going to say, I don't want to go down a different path, and I definitely don't want to pour too much negativity on it, but I'm not convinced you're going to be able to play rugby in December this year.
Well,
I wouldn't be surprised if there was a period of time when you don't have it. So while you've got it, enjoy it.
Yeah,
I hope you're wrong, but
get on the field whilst you can.
See something like
some of the. I mean, they're trying to motivate. Some clubs are brilliant, like Old Winians are playing every week. Eccles playing every week. Sure, Altrincham have had at least another game. Broughton Park have decided no games for us. Burnage have decided no games for us. Stockport are playing. Didsbury have not played yet. I don't know what Bedians are doing, but there's loads of, and from what I'm hearing, this is up and down the country. There's a slight reluctance to get the lads back together and just get them out on the field, which is exactly what I think the women played. To be fair to Didsbury, Didsbury is definitely a case of loving the social too much. It is definitely
which is always dangerous.
Yeah, believe you me, we are not.
If you run a team, let the boys play.
Thank you, Tim. Never have truer words been spoken.
Right.
Should we go on to next week?
What's happening next week?
Premiership. 3 rounds to go, and the real big, well, I suppose we can be grateful that the top 8 get into the Champions Cup from the point of view of we have meaningful rugby in that sense. But also it's meaningful in certainly when Bristol go to Sale, because Sale are trying to get a home semi-final.
Yeah, so this is the most interesting game of the week, I would say.
Yeah, I'm working this one. I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Are you going to come down to...
So I'm meant to be camping with the family, right? Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I'm back on Monday. So the podcast's going to be a day late. But it's bank holiday, so it's fine.
Bank holiday, yeah.
Absolutely fine. If I can go to Sale, I will go to Sale, and well, I don't really care what happens to to everyone else, and then drive to camping
Yeah,
later on.
10:30 at night.
Well, that's what I'm. So we
fancy going to that game.
Yeah,
definitely.
Let's see if we can get Phil in as well. But we were meant to have a. Well, we're going camping as well. But we're leaving at 10 p.m. or straight after the game. We're
11
driving.
11
So I've got to go and get the motorhome from my dad.
Where are you going?
Going to I've got a game at Exeter
on
Sunday, so I'm going to get the motorhome on the Saturday from my dad in Kent, and then I'm driving that down.
Which is not healing around you, is it?
So the deal I've always had with my Mrs. Kate is she said if you get off every time you get offered a game or anything to do with rugby, say yes and we'll work it out. So she's lived to regret that, I think, to be honest. Because
so where are you going camping? That's what I want to know.
She's got her sister in Exmouth, so we're going to go down in Devon. Then we're going to go along the Jurassic Coast,
Nice.
Weymouth way, and then we've got some friends we're meeting in the Cotswolds for a few days as well. But so I've got a week or 6 days or whatever in a motorhome, and 3 rugby games in amongst it. Sale,
awesome.
because I've got London Irish on the following Saturday as well.
week.
So I get to go to that Brentford one.
So
It's perfect. So I get a week, but I still get rugby matches.
So I've got
And you still get paid.
Oh yeah, there's that too. Yeah.
I've got Friday, Saturday, Sunday in a campsite in Abersoch.
With 2 kids.
2 kids, yeah. And I'm with my mum and my brothers and my sister. My mum has organised this thing. And she sent me pictures today of the barbecue that she's intending to use. She goes, like, what do you think? And it's like 1 foot by 2 foot. It's like, for 14 people? Are you insane?
14 adults or 14 people?
10 adults, 6 children.
10 adults, though.
That's not 14 people. Unless you're counting the children.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, there was 16 people.
16.
It doesn't really matter.
Yeah. It's too small.
That's
cooking for lots of people is basically a logistics task, right? It's there's no flair involved. It's logistics.
Just one little thing I will say on barbecues. Okay, there is an element where barbecues you massively over cater.
Oh, this is my pet hate. This is my pet hate. No one would ever go to their kitchen, turn on the oven, and cook 20 sausages and 18 burgers for 4 mates, would they? But for barbecues, it's fine.
Yeah, it's like, everyone needs a steak and a lamb.
I really despise. Do you know what I hate even more? People that bring their own meat to my barbecue, as if I need some bird's eye bloody burgers to throw on my Argentine barbecue.
If I'm going for a barbecue at JB's, I purposefully go to Iceland, buy some 99p,
and then take his Frost
beef burgers,
and then have one of his Frost butchers freshly made ones.
Yeah, you're right there, Tim. I actually like barbecuing veg. That is my favorite. That is my favorite thing.
Barbecued veg is awesome,
isn't it?
There's no problem with having a load of meat, over catering the amount of meat. It's the fact that it all gets cooked at the same.
As in South Africa, the way that I like them doing it there is they just put a bit of meat on the barbecue, cut it up, and they walk around. And they carry on walking around with this steak which is cut up, and they just over and over and over again. That's how you do a barbecue.
That's it.
The South African braai.
Yeah,
awesome.
Rather than, like you say, just a mountain of meat to put in some white buns. Oh, it makes me hungry.
I remember in the very, very early days of the podcast when BT Sport invited us down to a Rugby Tonight to chat backstage, we met Jacques Berger.
Yes, we did, didn't we?
And he told us about his...
Wearing a light blue Superdry shirt.
It's such a beautiful memory.
How could I forget?
Yeah.
Such a vivid memory. It was really... Do you remember how exciting and new and amazing that felt?
Oh my God, yeah.
That was mind
And to find out that Jacques Berger was there blew my mind.
We drove down and back all in one day.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
we did. So we did
in
2.
Phil's Mini.
Yes, Phil Mini. They only got rid of this year.
Well, I guess it was new to BT Sport as well because they were like, "Oh, how can we make this as exciting as possible?" Well, we'll incorporate fans. And after 2 seasons of fans, they're like, "Forget these guys. They've got to go. They've got to go. We can't have any more." Bloggers and no, off they go.
Just think how different it could be if any other podcast had started when we started. It would have been them.
Yep,
it would have been them going down, and that would have opened the door for them. And and there you go, sliding doors. But no, I remember Jacques Berger talking about the braai, and it was he just said you have to cook it like this, and they put a bit of cheese and a bit of kind of tomato chutney kind of thing that they cut up
Yeah,
and make.
that's exactly right. That's
Oh.
exactly. So one of my biggest worries about this weekend, right, is there's no electricity. So how do I make cocktails without ice? Right, this has been plaguing me. And do you know what? It's one of those things. And there's a rugby lesson here as well. When you look at a problem from a certain direction, you can't get over it. You need to look at the problem from a different direction. So I can't chill my liquids. So what am I going to do? Hot cocktails. That's the only thing that I can think of is I'm going to have to go for something hot.
With the weather as it has been this weekend, you need a hot cocktail. It's been ridiculous.
Yeah. So like espresso martinis with actual hot espresso.
Yeah. Because I can't.
From North America.
Yes,
in
I
the
have, and it is fascinating.
18th, 19th century.
Yeah, it's amazing, Tim. You'll love this.
It's unbelievable. So they used to. So North America, the Great Lakes would obviously freeze in midwinter, and they would put out ice, huge blocks of ice that they would need teams of horses to drag out of the ice, and they would package them up with.
I mean, this is an engineering feat in itself.
It's amazing.
So they would package them up with sawdust around them, a thick layer of a foot or 2 foot of sawdust. Put that in a wooden box, put it on a boat, put lots of these on boats, and send them all around the world. So that if you were, say, I don't know, in the British Navy and you were enjoying a nice
G&T.
chilled drink, G&T
On the foredeck.
in India, you would have ice in your drink that was carved out of a North American lake.
Yeah,
and transported around the world.
You'd get plates of ice in the windows of department stores. And that's why America
It gets a bad rap
it's not a British. It's American. It's not British. It's
Oh, is that
American.
American?
That was.
Yeah.
They were selling it.
Oh right,
all around,
so the British Navy would buy the blocks of ice to travel around the world.
Well, I mean, you've got to fight. You've got to have gin and tonics on your warship somewhere. Inhumane.
That reminds me. Have you watched The Terror yet? I think you'd love it.
No, I haven't.
It's kind of it's a naval.
I'm in.
British naval story with a little bit of Game of Thrones thrown in for good measure.
Ooh.
Just a little bit.
What's it on?
I think it's on iPlayer.
Perfect.
But so there were 2 British naval ships. I think I've mentioned this on the pod before. It's 2 British naval ships that tried to find tried to find the way through the Arctic. There's one little bit they thought you could get through at a certain time of year, and they tried to do that expedition, and the 2 ships set off, and they got, well, not giving too much away, they got stuck, and then the guys on board. It was imagining the story of what happened to the guys that were on board. Wagyu steak on a barbecue apparently is.
I mean, I can't see why it wouldn't be amazing.
Yeah.
So JB and
Did you have any in Japan?
We had Kobe, which is like it's like instead of having sparkling white wine, having champagne. It is the top level of Wagyu, and it was like someone had infused pate with butter. It wasn't like meat.
Wow.
It wasn't like just a steak, a slab of meat.
How much chewing did it require? Just
Chewing?
None.
None.
Chewing?
None.
Did
it melt?
Saliva? Did it break down?
It just melts.
I'm pretty sure you get your money back if you chew.
It was.
Wow.
It was unbelievable.
We had prawns which were basically still alive. They were still alive. When they cooked them, they jumped off the barbecue.
As they got put on the hot plate, they were alive as they got put.
They cover them up, I think, partly for steaming, but partly to make sure they don't jump anywhere. Savages.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
That meal was quality.
Anyway, if we've got some more rugby, we should do some rugby now.
I'm just, by the way, I'll just say one thing I'm just really ploughing through the Dan Carlin hardcore history, the one about Japan.
Oh,
it's good,
the
Rising
Sun.
Yeah,
Supernova in the East.
Supernova. Yes.
Yeah, Supernova of the East, and it's just at the point with when.
Eat prawns and Wagyu beef bit.
The prawns and Wagyu beef.
And
bit,
wait for the Strong Zero one.
Yeah, it's amazing. Strong Zero.
Right, next weekend.
Yes. So we've got Friday Night Lights. We've just mentioned it. Sale versus Bristol.
That's what took us off on that random tangent. Camping, barbecues.
Yeah.
So, who's going to win?
Well done, Phil.
So, frankly, I think Sale are going to give them an almighty beating.
Wow.
I really do. I think Sale are going to come there, and I think Sale wants to take them down a peg or two.
Are you saying Bristol may have peaked at that level again, and Sale are still have peaking to do?
No, I actually think that this will do Bristol good. I think a loss to Sale will do Bristol good, to refocus their mind that hard rugby does still exist, I think Sale will give them an absolute hiding. So give me Sale by 10 points.
I fancy Sale because they're at home to nudge this one.
I fancy Bristol.
What? How?
Top of the league.
I'll tell you what.
Handy team.
Someone called Pat will do the interview afterwards as the winning coach.
Yep, there you go.
Pat.
Yep,
Well,
one of them.
Not Alex.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you thinking Pat Sanderson?
I was thinking Pat Sanderson for a minute. I was thinking they're both called Pat for a second. Oh, well, never mind.
Yeah, to be fair, I agree with that because it took me a while to realise it wasn't Pat Sanderson.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought I was being clever then. Clearly not.
Yeah, give me Bristol. I think they'll have too much for Sale.
Okay.
How? Where? Where do you think it's win? One.
Everywhere. They will
Sir
be able to
Charles.
hold them up front, and Sir
Semi.
Charles and Randrandra
Gotta say,
And
actually, if you think about
Morahan.
the
and Malins. And
It's not a
Sheedy.
matchup. You'd rather if you were Sale, you're going Hammersley versus Piatow.
well, you got James
versus
James
Randrandra.
Hammersley and say Morland going on one side and then Byron on the other side. Byron's a superb defender, and the others, okay, they're competent professionals, and that's not a dig. They are competent professionals. That's maybe not enough to deal with Radranda and Piatow and whoever the other.
Malin's looking nice on the wing.
But here's the other thing, right? Do they get over the gain line enough to play that style of rugby? And that's where it's going to fall down. It's not going to be one on the outsides. It's going to be one on the insides.
I'm not too worried about that. Bristol by 5.
Do you think? How do you think Nathan Hughes holds up against the Duprees? I don't think he does well when he's matched physically. I think he's very good when he's on the front foot and he's beating people up. I don't think they go forward at all. Actually, the more I think about it,
I think they've got enough. We'll see.
we will see.
We'll find
The
out.
one thing that will definitely happen is we will see.
Hopefully, we'll all be there to watch it as well.
Yeah, I hope so.
That would be awesome.
Great. And we're going Saturday.
And well, there's another Friday night game.
Oh right, cool.
Gloucester London Irish, which is it's not a bottom of the table clash. London Irish still battling to get top 8. Whether they want top 8 is another matter. But Gloucester are.
They will. I think it's worth. I might be Rugby Inside Line. Did some digging and it's worth about £250,000.
Okay.
So yeah,
1.5 wingers.
Like about a third of 1 year of Adam Coleman.
Yeah, perfect.
Not even a third of 1 year of Adam Coleman.
I think London Irish, because we're getting to the point now where we can sort of tell about the season in general rather than just the last few weeks. I think they've done everything really well this season. I think for a team coming from where they have done. Even though I mocked them at the start, and I think we all did for the amount of money they've spent on people. You understand what the strategy is now, and I think they'll be able to attract.
When relegation was a thing, you totally understand the strategy, and it would have been
But
vindicated.
do you know what? Looking at Worcester needs to do what London Irish did, which is just buy older, experienced players. I didn't think this at the start of the season, but I do think it now.
As long as you can then weave in some of the talented youngsters.
Yeah.
Well,
Which London Irish have done.
And I will say on Worcester,
well.
is Nick David going to Quins
Devastating.
has all of the hallmarks of, and by all accounts, Worcester let him go.
Yeah, because they couldn't guarantee him game time because of Nana.
Okay, this looks to me very much like we're Leicester Tigers. We don't need Harry Thacker because we've got Tatafu Pallotta now.
It's not a good look. I mean, I hated that. I absolutely hated it. And I bet Quinn's getting for a good deal too, because you look at Quins, you go, actually, I can win stuff at Quins. I can go there, I can make a name for myself, I can get some game time, I can get the.
And push for international. Yeah.
That's what these players want. So now that London Irish have established themselves as a proper top half of the table team, which is where I think they'll probably end up, they can then go and attract players like Nick David. And I don't think London Irish could have to get there.
Loose head prop, who I really like, I can't remember his name.
Hoskins?
No, is it Goodridge Clark?
Oh yes,
Clark,
yeah.
He is. I don't know if he's a type of prop, but he is a prop.
loose head prop.
Oh right,
sorry.
there you go. Yeah, so to get there, Worcester need to spend like London Irish, which is not a monumentally attractive proposition if you're their owner.
Yeah, and
So
it's
put it
not what
mildly.
they've been doing for the last few years as well. They've been having a few key guys, Huhard and Bentillo and Milani Nanai and Duhan van der Merwe.
I'm not sure I'd spend my money there.
No,
That's not where I'd spend my money.
Neither would I. Anyway, did you see the London Irish news this week about
Theo Brophy-Clues retiring? Yeah.
What?
On
How?
medical grounds.
When?
repeat concussions,
Oh, how awful.
which is horrendous because he's 25.
He's young.
He's a young, talented man.
That is awful.
Horrendous news. Anyway, Gloucester, London Irish. Gloucester at home. Anyone want to make any predictions?
Not really.
Can Gloucester get top 8 still?
They mathematically can. It looks unlikely.
Hey, not to disrespect the Premiership or anything, can I get excited about Benetton representing the Pro 14 against the South African team yet?
There's nothing this week, so they're still top.
Still
For another week, they're still top.
If they win the next one, will they be the winners of this thing?
The Mushroom Cup.
Yeah.
I can't remember what.
And then they get to play the Sharks or someone.
Let me have a look. I
Oh,
did look it up previously.
While you're looking that up, I've just got to mention the Major League Rugby getting excited. My boys Nola Gold got a win against the Utah Warriors this weekend, which puts them top of their conference. The what's the team that? What's the team in LA?
Gilgronis?
Gilgronis.
Yep.
The Gilgronis are top of.
There we go. It's easy, isn't it, when you know how?
Biggest hits of the week it has heavy rock music interspersed with massive tackles, and in between some of the massive tackles they have the odd little scuffle and fight.
Really?
They have and at the end they had little bit pictures of players downing a beer out of a man of the match cup.
Yes.
So it was like it's
Awesome.
exactly what you're.
To be honest, I'm not interested in that. I'm looking forward to their mental health campaign.
Well, they're doing that as well this week actually as Major League Rugby. So
There you go.
mental fitness they're doing as well. So you can cover all
No
bases.
to hate. They're doing a no to hate weekend yet? 'Cause that's the only way that I'd watch.
Not that I'm aware of, but one thing to watch
Oh.
out for is June the 5th. I think this weekend New York played the New England Free Jacks, which is a tasty little rivalry.
So New York have the worst kit I've ever seen. Although I appreciate it because of its uniqueness and it's
Is that the baseball
it's horrendous. Isn't it?
pinstripe one? It's like the Yankees, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's horrendous, but I appreciate it in the same way that I appreciate the Ospreys kits now because it's part of Ospreys' heritage to have a disgusting kit. But the kits in the MLR are absolutely awesome. Generally, across the board, the Gilgronis, awesome. Giltinis, sorry, awesome.
The Austin Gilgronis kit I really like.
The Toronto Arrows, awesome.
Yeah.
The Free Jacks, awesome.
Yeah.
Like all the kits are pretty good.
Nola Gold's quartered kit,
Yeah.
awesome. My boys.
I tell you what, it might just be an American thing. I tell you the stash I really like. It's not even rugby. I like Into Miami stash and their badge. Have you seen them?
Oh yes, I have.
So cool.
I have seen that.
No, I've not seen it.
It's like got
Yeah.
little flamingos. It's all pink.
David Beckham's
Oh yeah.
MLS franchise.
One game to watch out for, which I would, if we go to an MLR game next.
When we go to an
when we
MLR
go to
game.
an MLR game next year, what about the Texas Cup match between Houston and Austin?
Can't see any downsides to it.
Yeah.
That
would be
that's
awesome.
happening on June the 5th. So, yeah, all the games are free to stream on the Rugby Network app.
Mushroom Cup.
Yep.
So Benetton, top, the only unbeaten team in the whole competition, North and South. They have there's 3 more rounds left, of which Benetton have a bye in one of them.
Okay,
So
that's good.
They've only got 2 more rounds. The 2 teams they have to play are they host Connacht,
Winnable.
and they travel away in the last game to Ospreys. That's actually 2. It's not impossible.
But if they win one, that should be enough, shouldn't it?
Well, no, because it's the top team in each conference. Then, according to this, play off against each other. So the top
The
South African
Mushroom Cup final.
play off against the top Northern Hemisphere team. So they really need to win both of those games.
And then they might get a South African team.
I'm not convinced that will happen. That
I mean,
game.
it was rumored not to be happening.
I think it could
what
happen.
I'm looking at does say it will happen, but I'm not certain.
They've shut down rugby below pro level in South Africa, I believe, this week.
Mind boggles. All right.
Anyway,
So next Premiership game.
So Saturday we've got a 2:00 kickoff, which is Harlequins against Bath, which is going to be a home win.
home win.
Yep.
We then got Worcester hosting Leicester, which Leicester will get some of the badness out of their system.
I say home win, but Quins have got less on the line now. Well, no, because they'll want to push. Because they're now not looking below them, but might they be looking above them?
So
No, they can't get
to
second.
get third. They can still get third. They can still
They still can
technically
get
get
third.
second.
They could mathematically get second.
Okay, so they'll
They're
go
not
for it,
they're
yeah.
not
Home
going
win.
to get second.
Home win.
They're only 3 points behind Sale.
I think if I'm
Home win.
Harlequins, not to be a horrible cynic, I don't want any more injuries. I mean, my whole team is predicated on the fact that we can have.
And they could go. We've got a 3-week process now to build to
That's what I would do.
semi-final.
They do still need one more win.
Yeah.
If they don't get one more win, Northampton still
win.
can get top 4.
Home win.
So Will Evans is not coming back. But I think Esterhazen can come back for the final.
Yeah, Esterhazen
not
can
playoffs.
play again.
Semi-final.
Yeah.
So if he's back, that's
In
massive.
fact, he might even be back for the last league game.
Esterhazen, will
Or
be
maybe
back. Will be back.
That's
Yeah.
enormous. That
We'll
is
be back.
absolutely enormous.
Yeah.
So the last thing you want is Esterhazen back and Don Brandt out or something like that.
Or Marcus
That's,
Smith out.
God no. Don't say that.
Okay. So are you going for a home win or are you going for a Bath win?
Oh, Harlequins win.
No,
Okay.
he's going for Bath to be 12-0 up after 10 minutes.
Yeah, I think Bath go up.
And then you
and then get
lump on
battered.
Quins.
Yeah. £8 on to Quins.
Worcester hosting Leicester. Which Leicester, there's no point in them resting anyone. They might as well just play their strongest team.
Yep.
Well, they need to. They will get top 8, but they need to get top 8 now.
Yeah, they do need to get top 8. They're not actually because they're only 2 points ahead of Bath in 9th.
Yeah, so they'll
They
be
do-
going for it.
They need to win.
I think I'd like to finish ahead of Bath as well. I think that's
Yes.
quite a driver anyway.
Yeah. So yeah, Leicester
all-
to win that.
Away win.
And then Northampton host Wasps.
That'll be a good game.
It should be. Both teams need a win. Both teams need to improve their season. Give me Wasps.
For some reason, I'm thinking away win, but no, I'm going to go home win.
Give me Wasps.
Give me Saints.
If you were Dan Bigger now you know we're probably not going to. I mean, no, they've got to go for it on this one, haven't they? This is Dan Bigger thinking last game.
No, this
is
is
my
the
last
good
game.
game.
If Bigger even
This is Dan
plays-
Bigger's right. Dan Bigger, what he needs to do now is he needs to make sure he's getting value for the 10% of his salary that he gives away to his agent. Right, his agent needs to step in and say, Dan, you're not playing. No matter how much you want to play, you're not playing because Dan Bigger will want to play. It's his mindset, it's his character. He wants to get out there and play. You can't play.
Yeah.
No way. No way. So no.
I'm normally with players playing whenever they're fit and available. He should not play.
If I was his agent,
he went
I'd
off with a
tranquilise him.
Oh no, he went off with a concussion. Yeah,
2 weeks
ago. Yeah.
He's had concussions in the past.
Yeah, you're right.
He should not be
You're
going
right.
anywhere
You're right.
near
Just
Ruby
chill.
Field right now.
Chill,
Yeah,
Dan.
just
You're,
chill.
you're a hero. You're a legend.
Focus on some South African game tape.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, Tim, you'll be there. Exeter Chiefs hosting Newcastle Falcons, which is nothing but a home win.
Yeah, that.
I want to see Dave Ewers and Carl Ferns start 6. Go head to head.
I think
Yeah.
Ferns will come off the bench, and I think he'll come off about 10 minutes into the second half because it looks like that's how it looks to me. As if they're giving him 10 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
20 minutes,
Newcastle aren't
30
going to change a
minutes.
team that's won 2 in a row, and has put them in with a shout of getting top 8.
Because I'm actually watching Newcastle Falcons quite closely now for obvious reasons. Callum Chick's a good player.
He's a really good
Yeah.
player.
Bloody hell!
He's one of my guys that I would get into the Saxons.
Like how old's he?
25, something like that. 25,
He's
26.
that young.
Carries a ball
He's not
bloody
old.
well.
Look.
I don't think he's old.
He must be English, I
Yeah,
assume.
25.
I wonder if he'll be like the next Mark Wilson, which completely ignored until he's not, and then makes an impact.
Yeah.
He's talented, number 8.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, definitely.
All done, aren't we?
Done. Right.
Job's a good one.
There we go. Thank you very much for watching on YouTube. Before you go, just hit that like button and hit the little red subscribe button. That'd be cool as well. And just to make sure that it was every bit as good as you're thinking that was right now, make sure you go and hit subscribe on your podcast feed so you can listen to the podcast form of it tomorrow. If you're listening on a podcast right now, hit subscribe, get onto our YouTube channel, go to patreon.com/eggchasers. He's at Jay Beermore on Twitter. We're at Rugby Podcast. This week I'm not going to tweet. I said that last week and I did, but now I'm really not going to. So I'm going to be lurking.
On Twitter. I've had enough. Not because of something else anyone else has done. It's dawned on me. It is the worst format for me. I tweeted today, and I don't notice that my spell checker is putting in different words, the word that I think, and then it's like, this is clearly the worst form of communication for a dyslexic ever. So that's it. I think I'm done. If I want to communicate, I'll tell you on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube's
From now on.
perfect for you because not only can you say it rather than write it,
Yeah.
you
Well, it's
can
context.
you can explain your points
Yeah, rather than no.
rather than
yes.
be condensed down into
Yeah. Long.
the- yeah.
So, yeah. Although I won't stick to that. Right.
Just
Right.
just on Callum Chick, He played in the winning 2016 England under-20s that won the World Cup.
He did.
Alongside a few good names, alongside Marchant, Max Malins was in there, Malinder.
Harry Malinder was
10.
10.
Who else was in there? George Knott,
Oh,
Will
there
Evans.
was that winger, the rapid winger. I think he's
Aspinall.
Aspinall Robinson.
Robinson.
Yeah, that one.
Thorley was on the bench. Harry Randall was on the bench. One of the Kitchener boys, good family,
Great
was
family.
on the bench.
Great
Was
family.
I assume it's Will Stewart.
Was the Bath hooker the hooker?
Done?
No.
Singleton was playing.
Oh, was it Singleton? Jack
Yeah.
Walker.
Jack Walker did play under 20s though, definitely.
Okay.
West as loose head prop, Will Stewart as tight head prop.
Nice.
So,
Hell of a team.
And one of the Willis boys, presumably.
what do you think
Jack
of this?
Willis.
So what do you think of this? Do you think this does show that if you play for Newcastle and you're a talented player, that you won't get picked for England?
No.